Not to worry, you guys. I got my list today. I made my list and I brought it with me this time. So, we have a few things to share. Had a couple of things going on this week. I did a pattern test for Crochet with Kelsey for her bunny rabbit. And I tried a couple of different patterns for me. So I've just been trying to keep myself busy. So, first thing I want to show you is last time I showed you these little jelly bean bunnies, this little pink guy, and I could not, for the life of me, pull the channel's name out of my head from anywhere, but it is Darling Maple Designs. Apologies. So, I think these are really cute. They're easy to make. And since they're jelly beans, we just had to, make a bag of them. So, this one is a tan color. And these are all, well, this one is the Hobie yarn. But most of them are Parfait Chunky with the exception of this one. So I got this tan. We have a green. And coral, I believe, is this color. And this one is tangerine. And this one is hibiscus. And then one in poppy. One out of mango. One out of sunshine yellow. I forget what shade of blue this one is, but it is a pretty shade of blue. And I don't remember the name of this color either, but it's kind of a peachy coral looking color. And then there is a light blue and purple. And, no bag of jelly beans is complete unless you have this color. You have to have the licorice jelly bean. Although they are the nastiest tasting jelly beans, but I had to include it to complete my bag. And he got a dark gray, the seal color from Parfait for a tail. So I have an entire litter of jelly bean bunnies. It's what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 jelly bean bunnies. And I made most of them, when I did the pink one, I think later on that day I did the tan one. And then I had another day that I did 2. And then I just sat there one day because I was frustrated about something and I made 10 jelly bean bunnies. So we have a nice litter of bunnies. And there's still more colors that I have that I could use, but I was trying to use my partial skeins. So there's that. But I think that I have more colors in that basket that I haven't used yet. So I might get to them, I might not. So actually, before I started doing the jelly beans, I had made 3 boxes. And people keep asking where the pattern for the cat in the box came from. The box is on Instagram. And the cat that they show in the picture is different. And I've shown you guys that cat. And I've struggled with that pattern. So I have not gone back to it after the second time. So I made 3 boxes. And my intention was to make 3 more cats. Well, I got 1 cat made. And this came out of a pattern package for a bunch of farm animals and a little farmer. But I changed it. for myself, and to give it the tail that stands up like the other cat, so that when it's in the box, that is what you see. Now, the first time I showed the cat, most of us saw it as a cat. Some of us saw it as a gerbil. But the feedback was the cat needed pointier ears. So I also had to change the way the ears were done to get a more pointy ear on it. But I just think that the cat in the box is just adorable. So I have 2 more cats to make to fill my boxes that I made. So if you want the box pattern, you have to go on Instagram. Then, in between all of that, I did the pattern test for Crochet with Kelsey, and she has this little bunny pattern. So she has this little bunny pattern, and I believe it's called Buttercup, and her pattern releases sometime this week, like the 7th or the 5th, something like that. But it's a cute pattern. It's definitely not no-sew. Sewing the parts on was obviously the most difficult part of the pattern. It's fairly easy to read. I had questions like when I was doing the head because my shape wasn't coming out the same as her pictures looked. Her pictures were stuffed. And of course, when I'm looking at mine, it wasn't stuffed at the time. But the face shape, I think, turned out nicely. Now, she didn't use a safety nose, but I went ahead and put a safety nose on it. And then I was like, the little guy needs something. So we made him a little carrot. Just a little teeny tiny carrot. And Teresa's crochet shop, she did a little carrot. I mean, it's really easy to do, but she does have a tutorial on her channel on how to make the little carrot for all these bunnies that everybody's making for this time of year. So I think by adding the carrot, now you can put it on his leg, you can put it in his arm, you could sew it on if you wanted to, but I think the carrot really added, just that little pop of color really added to this bunny. So this was like the cat's in a box. Then I did this. Then I switched to the jelly bean bunnies. And then I moved on. Well, actually, you know what? I think I made a couple of more snakes first. So I did one. It's supposed to be like the Scarlet King snake. So if the yellow is touching black, it's your friend. If the yellow is touching red, stay away from it. And then I did this one with just a little ring neck in black. And of course, as we all know, the black is the hardest to crochet with if you don't have good lighting. But I like how they both turned out. And this gave me 2 more snakes. Look at the difference. Like this one, the head is so much bigger, same pattern. Just this red, the poppy, it's like it has more meat on the string than what the black did. So that made a big difference in the size of the heads. So I have the 2 snakes. I've told you before, I'm real good at scrolling through Instagram. Not so good at posting, but I'm good at scrolling through. And I had bookmarked this pattern a while back, but I hadn't tried it. And I think because I didn't hear anybody talking about it, so I wasn't really sure. But I decided to go back to it this week. And it's this really cute hippo. So it's fairly easy to read. I had a couple of issues where I had to frog out a few rounds and redo it. But for the most part, it is fairly easy to read. And it's like the original version of this is no sew. Now, I had to add legs because you used the bobble stitch for the legs, but they only used, I want to say it was a 4 double crochet bobble stitch, and the nose is a 3 double crochet. The little bumps there is a 3 double crochet bobble. But my little hippo, the head and the belly were hitting the ground, and the legs were just kind of like floating out there in limbo. So I had to do a little adjustment. I made 4 legs, 8 single crochets, 8 in the back loop, and then another round of 8. And I placed them on here on top of the bobbles with the tiniest little bit of stuffing. And now when it sits, it actually stands on the legs. So I would probably make this pattern again. And still, I would put the bobbles in, but I would still make the separate legs and then use the bobbles as a guide for where they were placed, because it sits beautifully now with the little legs on there. And it didn't take that much. It wasn't that hard to sew on, for the most part. I mean, sewing's a chore anyways, but for the most part, it didn't take much to sew it on. And I think it really helped it out a lot. So if you've tried the hippo pattern and you had the same problem I did, where your legs are just like out there in limbo land, this is a good solution for it, in my opinion. So we had the hippo. Then, now this channel name I will probably butcher, but I am going to try and say it. I will also type it in across the bottom of the screen here, because I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Brunacticality. I know I said it wrong. But she is, she does a lot of tutorials. And not necessarily amigurumi. She does all kinds of different things. But she just put up this rose pattern. And I really wanted to try it. So I had to order the wire for the right size so that it would stiffen up. Usually when I make flowers, I put them on one of these bamboo sticks. But you can't, like, shape the flower. So I didn't want all the roses pointing straight up. I wanted to be able to bend them a little bit so it's like facing and not pointing straight up. So I did crocheted the flower petals and the leaves, and then I waited for my wire to show up. Now she says you use a 2mm wire, and that's what I did. I ordered 2mm, and this came in the mail yesterday, and I'm looking at how skinny this is, and I'm like, this is not 2mm. You put any weight on this, and it just like leans over. So I doubled up the wire, and it still did not help. But I'll show you. So, see, I wanted to be able to bend so that the rose kind of faces forward. But her little pattern, I've watched, I don't know how many different videos over the years on how to make the roses, and I never really liked how they looked, or they were just too complicated to do. But this entire flower and these leaves here are all one single piece. I made one little leaf to go with it, and then I tried doubling up the wire, and it's very flimsy. So Amazon, you need to get your stuff together and label your product right, because that wire is not 2mm. Nothing like it. So I'm going to have to check. I doubt my Walmart would have anything, but maybe Hobby Lobby or something will have in their, fake flower department will have something that would work, where the wire is actually thick enough that I would be able to bend it and have it face the way I want it to. But I just thought these were really pretty. Now I'm going to miss Valentine's Day, but But I'm not missing Easter, and I'm not going to be missing Mother's Day. So I wanted to do some long stem roses, and I think, this isn't the right color pink. I do have lighter pink. I was just using stuff that was in my scrap bin box, and I need the right shade of green. But this is super easy to do if you have the right tools. Like this is, this is pretty limp. Yeah, so I need the right wire. Like I said, I doubled it up. It's wrapped. And it just isn't holding up. But I do like these. These are very nice. They're very pretty, and it's so easy to do. So I have one flower that Toby keeps wanting to steal. One flower. Then, a while back, I had seen a picture of a plushie that I thought was just the silliest looking thing I'd ever seen, with the goofiest eyes. And where my farmer's market is going to be at is in Williston. And when I was there before, one lady told me that, well, she thought my chicken nuggets were peanuts. And she said that that little town thinks they're like the peanut capital. So I wanted to make some peanuts to take with me. And I'd seen a picture, and I thought it was just the coolest thing. So I searched, and I found the type of eyes. So that was easy enough. And I just kind of sat on it for a little while. Because, that market's not till April 6th, I think it is. And I kept looking, like I couldn't really find a decent free pattern for the peanut. And I'm like, you know what? It's just a basic shape. I can do this on my own. I don't need somebody else's pattern to do it. Now, is my inspiration drawn off of somebody else's pattern? Absolutely. But the one that I saw that I liked, if I purchased it, it was like $5. And it's just a basic shape. So I attempted it on my own. And this is the first peanut. And I absolutely love the eyes. You can do so many cool facial expressions with it. So here's peanut number 1. And then I'm like, okay, did I take good enough notes? Am I going to be able to redo this? Kind of. So, peanut number 2, I think I'm going to change his mouth. And just give him like a straight line for a mouth. I don't really care for the mouth. But he's similar. Not quite the same. So my notes weren't all that hot, or my tension might have been a little off. So I said, let me try that again. And this is peanut number 3. I just love these eyes. They are just so goofy. Peanut number 3. And I said, you know what? Let me go for one more. So I was trying to, test out all the different eyes that came in this package. And I'm not there yet because there are a few different eyes. You get like 50 pairs of eyes in it. And there's 6 or 7 different eyeball shapes. So this is peanut number 4. He's kind of plain. I think I'm going to give him some little cheeks. I gave him a little teeny tiny mouth with them big eyes. But I have to say, I like this one the best. The first one. And then, of course, trying to re-get my shape back. I got close. So, when you see these, when you look at these, I have to know this because I showed this to John. And he says it's a brown snowman. Does this look like a brown snowman to you? Or does this look like a peanut? I showed it to Sue. Sue showed it to Frank. They both said peanut. I showed it to Heather. She said peanut. I say peanut. I definitely don't see a brown snowman here. Like, dude. So we had those. And then I was watching Amigurumi, her channel, and she was showing some plushies that she had made for the week and sharing links to the patterns. And she had a couple of free ones. And so I'm checking them out, and I'm like, I really want to make a Pikachu. So I started this last night, and I didn't finish it until today. I got to the point where I had just the tail and one leg left to make, and I was just tired. I was ready to call it quits for the night and go to bed. But then, even after I made the last leg and the tail, I still had to sew everything together. And honestly, I was trying so freaking hard to get this straight. I wanted it to look really, really nice. I didn't want it to be uneven. It took me longer to sew these pieces together than it did to crochet everything. But I was taking my time. I was trying to be very, very careful. And if I got frustrated, I would just sit it down and I would get up and walk away. So I don't know the actual time spent, but let me show you. This is my Pikachu. And I think that I did pretty good at trying to keep everything straight. I found it extremely difficult sewing the parts on, because like you got to get your hands into this little space around the head and try and keep everything even. And I've got my little bamboo sticks poking in this. And so I started with the arms, then I did the legs, moved up to the ears, attached the little stripes on the back. I wasn't going to do those, and I looked it up, and it's like, oh, that's a trademark thing for Pikachu. So then it was the tail. So I sewed the tail on, and it just kept flopping down. So I tacked it to the back of its head so it would stay up. And then it was move on to doing the little rosy cheeks and the face. And I thought that I did pretty good. Now I'm looking in the camera and I'm like, this little cheek might be a little too far over this way, or this little cheek is too far over that way. But I'm not changing it because this was hard. This was hard to do. Stitched him on a little nose, gave him a little mouth. But for the most part, I think my Pikachu turned out pretty darn good. The only part on the pattern that I found confusing, and it was a free pattern. Well, it can be free or you can make a donation. So it's like, says, how much would you like to pay? And you can enter from 0 to whatever in euro and get the pattern. The only confusing part that I found with the way it was written was the tail. And I had to stop and think about it for a second. So the tail was a little confusing, but it does say that there is a video tutorial. If you get confused with the tail, you can go check out the video. But I figured it out without the video. So I think this Pikachu turned out really cute. There was a couple of other ones that I wanted to try that Amigurumi was showing, and they were Pokemon. But again, I go back to this thing with, is it okay to put these at a market? It might be one of those things where I just like put one out and have it in with the mix. And if it sells, put another one out and have it in with the mix. I don't want to have like an entire table full of stuff that's like that. So, because I have the Pokeballs from last time that I would like to have. And somebody had mentioned like just calling it a stress ball. I forget who said that, but I mean, if you don't brand it, if you don't say, oh, this is Pikachu, I mean, it could be a lookalike, could be a twin. I don't know. That just concerns me. And I'm just kind of like expressing my concern. So, in the meantime, let's see. I have March 16th, I'm going to be in Wildwood. April 6th, I'll be in Williston. But February 17th, I'm going to be in, I think it is called Wesley Chapel, the area I'm going to be in. And it's small. It's a crafters market. They only allow like 12 vendors, 8 inside and 4 outside. But I figured I'd give it a shot. You know, it can't hurt anything. If anything else, I meet some people and maybe get the hookup on other craft shows in the area. And I'm like, I'll give it a try. You know, it's not that expensive. It's like $40 for an inside booth, $25 if you're outside, but I do not have a tent yet. I'm not ready to make that investment. I mean, my car's small. I can only fit so much in it. So you get an 8x8 space. They give you 2 tables to use in that space. And I'm trying to envision how it would be set up, but I really need to be there and see it. But they do this twice a month, and they started doing it last year. And I was talking with Sue about it, and I was like, well, if it's decent, maybe it's something that we could share. Like she does one of the 2 weeks, you know, one market for that month, and I do the other. So I'm like, I'll be the guinea pig. So it gives me somewhere to go in February. Unfortunately, I do miss Valentine's Day, so. But I do want to try and have the roses. I want to have some adult things. So, like, I want the car hangers. I want to have the roses. I mean, I could do sunflowers. I like making sunflowers. The hardest thing about the sunflowers is how to attach the stick or the wire so that you can face it forward. Now, if I can get my hands on the right kind of wire, that won't be an issue. But like I said, I usually use those bamboo sticks. So, some dishcloths, just some like adult type things to go along with the plushies. Nothing that's going to take major time or take up major space, but just to have a few items to draw people in. Oh, I almost forgot. I did have a couple other things that I worked on. So, Bonnie had commented, because I showed my hanging plant, not last time, I think the time before. And I was saying how I wanted to do it to where people could put the oils in it and make it like an air freshener. And she said when she did hers, she does it with the dirt being removable. So I found a pattern where I can look at it to see how much smaller does the dirt need to be than your actual pot size. So that helped me out. So this part and this part was just me messing around. But the plant part itself was from that pattern. You know, it's like a little succulent. And I had it in a different color green. It was out of a worsted weight, but it looked really like bunched up. So I pulled that out and I got out a DK. And this was like one of the few shades of green that kind of looks green. This is a sage green to make this one out of. So I had that. And then I had purchased a pattern and I ended up not liking the pattern for the way they did the plant part. So I did their pot and their dirt method, and this one is not removable, but I did my own thing with the plant. So I used 3 shades of green. So the plant is DK and the rest of it is worsted weight. But I did 3 shades of green. This one is Premier Basics. And these are the Amigo yarns from Hobie. This one and this one that I used in my temperature blanket. That half the colors didn't end up in the greens and blues. So I have quite a bit of that left over. So I put that in on this. And I think these are cute. But it does concern me that so many people are saying that it is illegal to hang things from your rearview mirror. So I don't know if I want a chance to ticket and hang it on mine and see what happens. Or, you know what? I should probably just go down to the sheriff's department, or when I see a sheriff on the road somewhere, and just ask, are you allowed to hang something like this from your mirror? Because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I don't want to encourage anybody to get in trouble. But I just think they're so cute. And I want to make some. Not to mention, I do like to work with acrylic every now and then. Although the Parfait Chunky and all these Plushie chenille yarns just spoil your hands. And it's just like, oh, such a breeze. But I do like to work with my acrylics. All right, I think that is all I have today. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've left anything else out. And I'll say it again. I need to go through all my stuff and see what I have so that I know what I should be making instead of just making. Because I'm getting a little overcrowded with plushie toys. And because I am lining up these different things, who knows if they're going to be good or bad? I won't know till it happens. I don't want to be caught short of supplies, but yet at the same time, you know, I have 14 jelly bean bunnies. You know, I'm pretty sure I need to make some turtles. And I like to make turtles. But I need to spread it all out and see what I have. And like, okay, let's set this up. We're going to take this to that market. Now let's work on some back stock. So I think that might be my game plan. No more gears turning. We're going to say farewell, and we will see you over here in this next video.